The most dangerous thing about money is not that people do not have enough of it. It is that most people were never taught how it really works. They were taught to go to school, get a job, work hard, save what they can, avoid risk, pay their bills, be responsible. And for many people, that is exactly what they do. They show up every morning. They work long hours. They make careful choices. They skip things they want. They try to stay out of trouble. But somehow, they still feel trapped. The paycheck comes in, and it is already spoken for. Rent takes its share. Groceries take another. Gas, insurance, credit cards, student loans, phone bills, subscriptions, taxes, and medical costs quietly take the rest. A person can stand in a grocery aisle, looking at the same food they bought last year, and wonder why the same basket now costs more. They can open a credit card statement late at night and feel that quiet pressure in their chest. They can get a raise and still feel no richer. They can do everything they were told to do and still feel like the ground keeps moving beneath them. That is the part most people are never prepared for, because money is not just money. Money is trust. Debt is time pulled from the future. Inflation is purchasing power slipping away. Banks are not just storage rooms for cash. Markets are not just numbers on a screen. And the economy is not some distant machine that only matters to politicians, investors, and experts on television. It is the invisible language shaping your daily life. It shapes where you can live, what you can afford, how much freedom you feel, how much pressure you carry, how easily fear can influence your choices, and how often you mistake financial pressure for personal failure. Welcome to Inner Power Audio, where we explore self-mastery, clear thinking, and the hidden forces that shape everyday life. If this audiobook helps you see money, debt, inflation, or the economy with more clarity, like this video and share it with someone who needs a clearer way to think. The more people understand the game, the harder they become to manipulate. Because here is the truth. Most people are not manipulated because they are weak. They are manipulated because they are reacting without understanding. They react to headlines before seeing incentives. They buy things before understanding desire. They accept debt before understanding time. They fear inflation before understanding purchasing power. They trust simple stories before asking who benefits from those stories. And when you do not understand economics, the world feels random. Prices rise and you feel angry. Interest rates change and you feel confused. Markets fall and you feel afraid. A recession headline appears and you feel uncertain about your future. An advertisement tells you that you are falling behind, and suddenly, buying something feels like catching up. But once you begin to understand economics, something changes. You may not control the world. You may not predict every crisis. You may not know exactly where markets will go next. But you gain something powerful. Perspective. You begin to see the pattern behind the noise. You begin to notice the incentive behind the message. You begin to separate fear from fact. You begin to understand why some people stay trapped in the same financial cycles, while others learn to move with more clarity. This audiobook is not about getting rich overnight. It is not financial advice. It is not about blaming one group, one bank, one political party, or one generation. It is about learning how money, debt, inflation, banks, assets, leverage, market psychology, and economic stories shape the choices people make every day. Not in a complicated way, in a clear way. Because economics is not just about charts and numbers. It is about behavior, trust, power, fear, desire, incentives, and the stories people believe when the world feels too complex to understand. Once you understand economics, you do not become impossible to influence. You become harder to fool. And in a world built on noise, fear, debt, desire, and distraction, that clarity is power. So let's begin with the first illusion, money itself. Because before you can understand the economy, you must first understand what money really is. Chapter 1, Money is not value, money is trust. The first illusion about money is believing that money has power by itself. Most people chase money for years without ever asking what it actually is. They know how it feels to earn it. They know how it feels to spend it. They know how stressful life becomes when there is not enough of it. But very few people stop and look at the invisible agreement behind it. A $100 bill cannot feed you. It cannot keep you warm. It cannot repair your car. It cannot pay rent by itself. It is paper, ink, and design. But when a grocery store accepts it, it becomes food. When a landlord accepts it, it becomes shelter. When a gas station accepts it, it becomes movement. When a hospital accepts it, it becomes care. The paper did not change. The trust around it did. That is the first truth. Money works because enough people agree that it works. The cashier accepts it because they believe the bank will honor it. The bank honors it because it belongs to a larger financial system. That system works because people trust the law, the government, the central bank, the productivity of the economy, and the belief that tomorrow someone else will accept the same money. Money is not just an object, it is a network of trust. Imagine waking up tomorrow and every store in your city refuses to accept your dollars. Nothing about the paper changed. The ink is the same. The numbers are the same. The design is the same. But the trust disappeared. And when trust disappears, money becomes decoration. This is why a dollar can feel strong in one decade and weak in another. This is why the same paycheck can feel comfortable one year and stretched thin a few years later. This is why someone can have more dollars in their account, but still feel poorer. They may not have lost money. They lost purchasing power. And that kind of loss is quiet. It does not arrive like a sudden bill. It arrives slowly. One grocery trip at a time, one rent increase at a time, one insurance renewal at a time, one smaller feeling of freedom at a time. Most people only notice money when prices change. They stand in a grocery aisle and ask, "Why is everything so expensive?" But the deeper question is not only why prices are rising. The deeper question is, what is happening to the value of the money I am using? That question changes how you see everything. If you think money is value, you protect the paper. But if you understand money as a claim on value, you begin asking what backs that claim. Is it backed by production, by trust, by strong institutions, by useful goods and services, by confidence that the system will still work tomorrow? This does not mean money is fake. That is too simple. Money is real because trust is real. The food you buy with it is real. The home you rent with it is real. The medical bill you pay with it is real. The stress you feel when you do not have enough of it is real. But money is not powerful by itself. It is powerful because of the belief structure around it. And once you understand that, you stop treating every dollar as if it were fixed forever. You begin to see money as something that can strengthen, weaken, move, and change depending on trust, production, policy, scarcity, confidence, and time. That is the new lens. Do not ask only, how much money do I have? Ask, what can this money actually command in the real world? Can it buy the same groceries, the same rent security, the same healthcare, the same transportation, the same peace of mind? Because the number alone does not tell the whole truth. Purchasing power does. And when you understand purchasing power, you become harder to confuse. You stop mistaking a larger number for a stronger life. You stop believing that cash is always safe simply because it is cash. You stop assuming that the price you see is the full story. You begin to ask better questions. What do I trust? Why do I trust it? What is backing this money? What is weakening it? What is strengthening it? What am I trading my time for? These questions do not make you rich overnight. They make you awake. Because money is trust made visible. And if money is trust, then the deepest question is not only how to get more of it. The deeper question is how money is shaping your choices, your future, and your sense of freedom. Once you see that, you stop worshiping money blindly. You start studying it clearly, and that clarity prepares you for the next illusion. The rules you were taught. Because many people are not failing because they refuse to work hard. They are struggling because they were given rules for a world that no longer works the way they were told. Chapter 2. The rules you were taught are incomplete. Most people were not taught how to build wealth. They were taught how to behave, be responsible, get good grades, find a stable job, work hard, save money, avoid debt. Do not take big risks. These rules are not useless. They can protect you from chaos. They can help you build discipline. They can keep you away from reckless decisions. But they are incomplete. And incomplete rules can still keep a disciplined person trapped. Because the modern economy does not reward effort alone. It rewards understanding, timing, ownership, adaptability, and the ability to see what is changing before most people admit it has changed. Hard work matters. But hard work without economic understanding can still leave you exhausted. Picture someone working full-time in an American city. They wake up early, commute, answer emails, handle customers, solve problems, come home tired, and still check their bank account with anxiety. They are not lazy. They are not irresponsible. But rent went up, groceries went up, insurance went up, their student loan payment returned, their car needed repair. Their credit card balance grew during one emergency and never fully disappeared. Now the old advice sounds almost insulting. Just work harder, they already are. The problem is not always effort. Sometimes the problem is that the rules they were taught do not explain the game they are in. They were told to save money, so they save. But if the cost of living rises faster than their savings grow, they are not moving forward as much as they think. The number in the account may increase, but the power of that number may shrink. They were told to avoid debt, so they fear all debt. But not all debt works the same way. Some debt buys things that lose value. Some debt buys assets, skills, or opportunities that may create value. Some debt traps you in the past. Some debt used carefully can help build the future. The problem is not that old advice is always wrong. The problem is that old advice is often too simple for a complex world. Work hard does not explain why two people with the same work ethic can end up in very different positions. Save money does not explain inflation. Avoid debt does not explain leverage. Get a job does not explain ownership. Be responsible does not explain why a responsible person can still be financially fragile. This is where many people feel confused. They did what they were told. They followed the path. They delayed gratification. They stayed out of trouble. They did not try to cheat the system. And still, they feel behind. That feeling is painful because it creates shame. A person starts thinking, maybe I am the problem. Maybe I am not working hard enough. Maybe I am not smart enough. Maybe everyone else knows something I do not. Sometimes the last sentence is the closest to the truth. Not because other people are better, but because they learned a different set of rules. They learned the difference between income and ownership. Income is what you receive when you work. Ownership is what continues to hold or create value after the work is done. If all you understand is income, you spend your life trying to earn more by giving more hours, more energy, more effort, and more attention. But if you understand ownership, you begin to ask different questions. What skill can I build that becomes more valuable over time? What asset can I own? What system can I create? What knowledge can make my decisions better? What habit is quietly taking money away from my future? What opportunity am I missing because I only think like an employee, not like an owner? This does not mean everyone needs to become a millionaire entrepreneur. It means everyone needs to understand the difference between selling time and building value. The manipulation begins when society praises effort but hides structure. A company understands structure. A bank understands structure. A landlord understands structure. A platform understands structure. A lender understands structure. But many individuals are told only to work harder inside structures they do not understand. That is why just work harder can become a dangerous answer. Sometimes you do need more discipline, but sometimes you need a better map. If rent keeps rising, if food costs more, if debt compounds, if your paycheck disappears before you can breathe, then effort alone may not solve the deeper issue. You need understanding. You need to see the rules beneath the advice. Because the person who only works harder may keep running faster on the same treadmill. But the person who understands the machine starts looking for the controls. That is the shift. From effort alone to intelligent effort. From saving blindly to protecting purchasing power. From fearing all debt to understanding the difference between a tool and a trap. From chasing a paycheck to building skills, assets, systems, and choices. From asking, how do I survive this month, to asking, what am I building that will make future months easier? This is not easy, but it is clear. And clarity matters because the world becomes more expensive when you do not understand it. You pay more in interest. You waste more on status. You react more to fear. You buy more from insecurity. You trust more stories that benefit someone else. That is why economic understanding is not only about money. It is about protection. The old rules may have helped people survive, but the new world requires more than survival. It requires awareness. Because many people are not trapped by laziness. They are trapped by incomplete rules. And the next rule they must understand is one of the most misunderstood forces in modern life. Debt. Because debt can build a future, or it can quietly own one. Chapter 3. Debt is either a tool or a trap. Debt is not automatically bad. But blind debt is dangerous. That difference matters. Most people are taught to think of debt as one simple thing. A burden, a bill, a mistake. Something responsible people should avoid. And sometimes that is true. Debt can create pressure. It can steal peace. It can turn a purchase made in 10 minutes into a payment that follows you for years. It can make your future smaller because your future income has already been promised to the past. But debt is not only a personal burden. Debt is also one of the engines of the modern economy. At its core, debt is a way of pulling resources from the future into the present. When a person uses a credit card to buy something today and pays later, they are pulling future income into the present. When a student takes a loan to pay for college, they are pulling future earning potential into the present. When a family takes a mortgage, they are pulling decades of future income into the present to buy a home now. When a business borrows money to expand, hire workers, or buy equipment, it is pulling expected future growth into the present. This is why debt can be a tool. But it can also be a trap. The difference is what the debt creates. Some debt helps build capacity. It may fund a useful education, a business, a productive asset, or a home bought within reasonable limits. Other debt only buys a feeling, a newer phone, a more expensive car, a vacation you cannot afford, a lifestyle designed to impress people who will not help you pay for it. That kind of debt does not build your future. It rents your emotions from tomorrow. And the system is very good at making debt feel harmless. The most dangerous phrase in consumer finance is not always interest rate. Sometimes it is only this much per month. That phrase changes how people think. Instead of asking, what is the total cost? They ask, can I handle the payment? A car becomes affordable because the monthly payment looks manageable. A couch becomes affordable because the store offers financing. A phone becomes affordable because the cost is spread across a plan. A vacation becomes affordable because a credit card makes it possible today. But affordability is not the same as wisdom. A payment can fit your month and still weaken your future. That is the trap. Debt becomes manipulation when it hides the full cost behind a small monthly number. Credit card companies understand this. Retailers understand this. Car dealerships understand this. Buy now, pay later platforms understand this. They know people do not feel total cost emotionally. People feel monthly pressure. A $3,000 purchase feels heavy, but $89 a month feels possible. And that is how the future gets divided into little pieces and sold back to you as freedom. But it is not freedom if every paycheck arrives already claimed. Rent claims one part. Car payment claims another. Student loans claim another. Credit cards claim another. Subscriptions claim another. Medical bills claim another. And slowly, your income stops feeling like yours. This is why debt must be understood, not feared blindly and not accepted casually. A person who fears all debt may miss opportunities. A person who accepts all debt may lose control. A person who understands debt asks better questions. What does this debt create? Does it buy an asset or a liability? Does it increase my future capacity or shrink it? What is the interest rate? What is the total cost? What happens if my income drops? What part of my future am I promising away? These questions protect you, because debt is not just about money. It is about time. Every debt is a claim on future time, future income, future attention, and future peace. When you sign for debt, you are not only agreeing to pay money. You are agreeing that a part of your future will belong to that decision. This does not mean you should never borrow. It means you should never borrow unconsciously. The financially unaware person asks, "Can I afford the payment?" The economically aware person asks, "What does this decision do to my future?" That one question changes everything. It makes you pause before taking on a credit card balance for status. It makes you think carefully before financing a car that stretches your income. It makes you examine student loans not only as education, but as an investment that must be measured against realistic outcomes. It also helps you see why economies rise and fall with debt. When people borrow more, spending expands, businesses grow, homes sell, cars move, markets rise, confidence increases. But when debt grows faster than real productive capacity, pressure builds. Eventually, payments become too heavy. Defaults rise. Fear spreads, credit tightens, spending slows. This is not only personal, it is systemic. The same force that can help an individual build can also help create a crisis when multiplied across millions of people. That is why understanding debt makes you harder to manipulate. You no longer see borrowing as free money. You see it as a trade, present power in exchange for future obligation. Sometimes that trade is wise. Sometimes it is a chain. Debt is not the enemy, blind debt is. And once you understand debt, you are ready to understand the institutions that move credit through the entire economy. Banks. Because banks do not just store money. They help decide how easily the future can be borrowed. Chapter 4. Banks don't just store money. They expand credit. Most people think of a bank as a safe place to keep money. A building, an app, a checking account, a savings account. A place where paychecks arrive and bills leave. That view is not wrong, but it is incomplete. Because banks do not simply store money. Banks help expand credit. And credit is one of the most powerful forces in the modern economy. When a bank gives a loan, it is not only moving money from one drawer to another. It is creating new purchasing power inside the economy through credit. A borrower can now buy a house, start a business, purchase equipment, pay tuition, or finance a car. That new loan becomes spending. That spending becomes someone else's income. That income may become deposits. Those deposits may support more lending. And through this process, credit expands. This does not mean banks create unlimited money without limits. They are constrained by regulation, capital requirements, borrower demand, credit risk, interest rates, and the broader central banking system. But within those limits, bank lending plays a major role in how money moves through modern life. This is why banks matter so much. They do not just sit on the edge of the economy. They help decide how much movement the economy can have. When credit is easy, people borrow more. Businesses expand. Homes sell faster. Developers build. Consumers spend. Asset prices can rise. Confidence grows. When credit tightens, the opposite happens. Borrowing becomes harder. Payments become heavier. Businesses slow down. Home buyers step back. Consumers become cautious. markets begin to feel pressure. The same person can feel financially confident when interest rates are low and deeply restricted when rates are high. Their character did not change. The credit environment changed. This is why understanding banks and credit protects you from confusion. If you do not understand credit, you may think the economy is moving only because people are working harder or spending less. But behind much of that movement is access to borrowed money. Credit can make people feel wealthier than they are. It can make homes feel affordable until interest rates change. It can make businesses look strong until refinancing becomes expensive. It can make consumers feel flexible until minimum payments become heavy. Credit expands choices, but it also expands risk. That is why the banking system must be understood with maturity. Not fear, not blind trust, maturity. A bank is not evil because it lends. Lending is part of how modern economies grow. A small business may need a loan to buy equipment. A family may need a mortgage to buy a home. A student may need financing to access education. A community may depend on credit for development. But the danger begins when people confuse access to credit with real affordability. Just because a bank approves, it does not mean the decision is good for your life. Approval is not wisdom. A credit limit is not income. A loan offer is not a sign that you should accept. These are tools, and tools require judgment. This is where manipulation often hides. Many people do not feel the true cost of credit at the beginning. They feel the excitement of approval. They feel the relief of access. They feel the pleasure of getting the thing now. The cost arrives later in payments, interest, in stress, in reduced flexibility, in fewer choices. A mortgage rate changes, and the monthly payment on a home becomes much larger. A credit card APR rises, and a balance becomes harder to escape. A business loan becomes heavier when sales slow down. A car payment that once felt manageable becomes a burden after job loss or inflation. Credit is powerful because it moves the future into the present. But if you do not respect it, the future eventually sends the bill. At the larger level, credit cycles shape entire economies. When lenders feel confident, they lend more. When borrowers feel confident, they borrow more. Prices may rise because more people have access to money. Homes may become more expensive because more buyers can borrow. Businesses may expand because capital feels available. But when fear enters the system, credit contracts. Banks become more cautious. Borrowers become more careful. Loans become harder to get. Spending slows. Investment slows. Growth slows. This is why economies can change quickly. Not because people suddenly became different, but because trust and credit conditions changed. Credit is the bloodstream of the modern economy. When it expands, people move. When it contracts, people freeze. Understanding this helps you stop reacting emotionally to every shift. When interest rates rise, you understand why homes become harder to buy. When credit tightens, you understand why businesses slow hiring. When banks become cautious, you understand why money feels harder to access. You do not panic as easily. You ask better questions. What is the cost of borrowing? Who is taking risk? What happens if income falls? What happens if rates change? Is this real growth or growth fueled mostly by easy credit? These questions create clarity. Because the person who does not understand credit sees only the surface. They see a booming market and think everything is strong. They see easy loans and think opportunity is everywhere. They see rising prices and think wealth is being created. But the person who understands credit asks what is underneath. Is value increasing? Or is borrowing increasing? That question matters. Because when credit expands too far, it can make weakness look like strength. And when credit contracts, it can reveal how fragile that strength really was. Banks do not just store money. They shape the flow of credit. And once you understand credit, the next hidden force becomes easier to see: inflation. Because even when your money stays in your account, its power may quietly be leaving. Chapter 5. Inflation. quietly moves wealth inflation is not just higher prices. It is the slow weakening of purchasing power. That difference matters. Most people experience inflation emotionally before they understand it intellectually. They walk into a grocery store, buy the same basic items, and feel the shock at checkout. They renew their rent and wonder how the increase can be so large. They fill their gas tank and feel their monthly budget tighten. They see insurance, childcare, healthcare, and restaurant prices rise, and they feel like life is becoming more expensive from every direction. So they say, everything is getting expensive. That is true, but it is only the surface. The deeper truth is this: your money is buying less than it used to. That is purchasing power. And when purchasing power falls, you can become poorer even if your paycheck gets bigger. This is one of the most confusing parts of modern life. A person can receive a raise and still feel no improvement. They may earn more dollars than before, but if rent, groceries, transportation, insurance, and debt payments rise faster than their income, their real freedom does not grow, it shrinks. The problem is not only that prices rise. The problem is when prices rise faster than wages, savings, and personal flexibility. That is why inflation is so powerful. It does not always feel like a direct loss. No one opens your wallet and removes cash. No one sends you a letter saying, your money is now weaker. Instead, the loss appears inside ordinary moments. The same grocery basket costs more. The same apartment takes more of your paycheck. The same car repair feels harder to handle. The same emergency becomes more stressful. The same savings account feels less comforting. Inflation is quiet because it does not attack the number. It attacks what the number can do. And this is where many people are manipulated. They are told to focus only on prices, not purchasing power. They are told to blame one simple cause, one person, one party, one store, one company, one moment. But inflation is rarely that simple. It can involve money supply, supply chains, energy costs, labor costs, government policy, central bank policy, global events, business pricing power, consumer demand, and expectations about the future. When people do not understand that complexity, they become easy to move emotionally. They get angry without understanding. They blame without examining. They panic without asking what is really changing. The economically aware person does not ignore the pain. Inflation hurts. It especially hurts people with little savings, fixed income, heavy debt, or no ownership of assets. But the aware person asks better questions. What is happening to purchasing power? Are wages keeping up? Which prices are rising fastest? Is this caused by supply, demand, policy, energy, or fear? Who is protected from inflation? Who is exposed to it? That last question is important, because inflation does not hit everyone the same way. A person holding mostly cash may feel safer, but over time, inflation can weaken the value of that cash. A person who owns useful assets may have a different experience. A home, a business, productive equipment, shares in companies, valuable skills, or income-producing systems may adjust differently over time. This is why two people can live in the same economy and experience two different realities. One person sees inflation as pressure. Another sees asset values rise. One person feels squeezed by rent. Another owns rental property. One person pays more for essential goods. Another owns part of businesses that sell essential goods. This does not mean inflation is good. It means inflation changes who is protected and who is exposed. And if you do not understand that, you may think the only answer is to work harder and save more cash. But if your savings grow slower than prices, you may still be losing ground. This is the hidden lesson. Saving matters, but saving without understanding purchasing power is incomplete. You must ask not only, how much money do I have? You must ask, what is happening to the strength of that money? That question shifts your thinking. It makes you pay attention to real value. It makes you think about skills, assets, pricing power, mobility, debt structure, and long-term resilience. It also makes you less vulnerable to fear. Because inflation headlines are powerful. They can make people panic. They can make people buy things too quickly. They can make people sell assets at the wrong time. They can make people believe simple stories about complex problems. But when you understand inflation, you pause. You do not deny the pain. You study the mechanism. You stop asking only, why are prices higher? You start asking, where is purchasing power moving? That is a more powerful question. Because inflation does not just raise prices. It reveals who can adapt and who is trapped. It reveals who has ownership and who only has income. It reveals who has pricing power and who is forced to absorb rising costs. It reveals the difference between looking financially safe and actually being resilient. And that brings us to the next lesson. Because if inflation quietly weakens money, then the question becomes unavoidable. What should a person build instead of only chasing income? The answer begins with assets. Chapter 6. Assets are the difference between working and building. Income keeps you alive. Assets give your future room to breathe. That is the difference most people are never taught. Income is the money you receive when you work. It may come from a job, a contract, a service, a business, or a skill you sell. Income matters. Without it, bills do not get paid. Food does not appear. Rent does not wait. Life becomes unstable very quickly. But income alone can become a trap if every dollar depends on your constant effort. If you stop working and the money stops immediately, then your freedom is limited by your energy, your time, and your ability to keep performing. That is not failure, that is reality. Most people begin there, but they should not end there. An asset is different. An asset is something that holds or creates value beyond one moment of labor. It may be a business, a property, shares in a company, a digital product, a useful skill, a personal brand, an audience, a system, a piece of intellectual property. A tool that helps you produce more value with less wasted effort. Not every asset is financial at first. For many people, the first asset is skill. A person with a valuable skill has more options than a person with only available hours. A skill can increase income. Increased income can create savings. Savings can create investment. Investment can create ownership. Ownership can create more freedom. This is how building begins. Slowly, not overnight, not through fantasy, through a chain of better decisions. Now imagine two people who both receive a $400 monthly raise. The first person feels relief and immediately upgrades life. They lease a more expensive car, add 2 new subscriptions, eat out more often, and buy things that make them feel like their work is finally paying off. For a few months, life feels better. But soon the raise disappears into the new lifestyle. Nothing changed except the cost of maintaining the image. The second person also enjoys part of the raise, but they direct a portion of it toward reducing high-interest debt, learning a higher-value skill, buying tools, building a small project, or increasing emergency savings. At first, this person may look less impressive, but after 3 years, the difference becomes visible. One person has a better lifestyle but no more freedom. The other has more options. And options are a form of wealth. That is the real difference between spending income and converting income into assets. The problem is that consumer culture trains people to use income for appearance before they use it for freedom. A person gets a raise and immediately upgrades the car. They move into a more expensive apartment. They buy more subscriptions. They eat out more often. They upgrade the phone. They spend more to match the version of themselves they want others to see. This is lifestyle inflation, and it is one of the quiet ways people stay trapped. They earn more, but they do not become freer. Their life simply becomes more expensive. The manipulation is subtle. The market tells you that success should be visible. A better car, a better apartment, better clothes, better restaurants, better vacations, better photos. But visible success is not the same as stability. Looking rich is not the same as becoming free. The person who understands economics starts asking different questions. If my income increases, how much of it will build my future? What can I own that may grow? What skill can make me harder to replace? What system can reduce wasted time? What asset can create value even when I am not actively working? What spending is making me look successful while making me less flexible? These questions are not glamorous, but they are powerful because the difference between working and building often begins with what you do after the paycheck arrives. Two people can earn the same amount and live completely different futures. One person spends every increase in income to upgrade lifestyle. The other uses part of that increase to reduce bad debt, build skills, save, invest, create a side project, or buy back time. At first, the difference is hard to see. One may look more successful, the other may look ordinary, but over time, the difference compounds. One life becomes heavier, the other gains options, and options are a form of wealth. The ability to leave a bad job, the ability to survive an emergency, the ability to say no, the ability to take a calculated risk, the ability to wait for a better opportunity, the ability to think clearly because panic is not controlling every decision. That is what assets can create. Not luxury first, options first. This is important because many people hear the word assets and think it only belongs to the wealthy. But assets are not only for people who already have money. Assets are how people begin changing their position. A skill is an asset, health is an asset, a reputation is an asset, a network is an asset, a small business is an asset, an audience is an asset, a system that saves time is an asset, a habit of learning is an asset. The question is not, why do I not own what wealthy people own? The better question is, what can I build from where I am? That question brings power back. Because if you only think about income, you may spend your whole life trying to earn more by giving more of yourself away. More hours, more energy, more stress, more attention. But if you think in assets, you begin to build things that can support you later. This is not easy. It requires patience. It requires discipline. It requires saying no to some forms of status. It requires accepting that the quiet builder may not look impressive at first. But economic freedom rarely begins with looking impressive. It begins with becoming less dependent on one fragile source of income. The world will always sell you symbols, the car, the watch, the lifestyle, the image. But symbols do not protect you when life gets hard. Assets do. Income keeps you alive. Assets give your future room to breathe. And once you understand assets, the next hidden force becomes clearer. Because assets grow faster when they are connected to two powerful forces: leverage and compounding. Chapter 7. Leverage and compounding are how small advantages become huge. Small advantages become powerful when they are repeated and amplified. That is the simple truth behind leverage and compounding. Most people underestimate small things because small things do not look impressive at the beginning. 1 hour of learning does not change your life. One workout does not transform your health. One saved dollar does not create freedom. One better decision does not erase years of pressure. So people quit early. They look for something dramatic, a big breakthrough, a fast opportunity, a sudden escape, a secret move that changes everything. But real growth often works differently. It begins quietly. Compounding means that progress starts to build on itself. A skill improves. That skill creates better work. Better work creates better income. Better income creates more options. More options create better decisions. Better decisions create more stability. Stability creates clearer thinking. Clearer thinking creates even better choices. The result becomes larger than the original effort. That is compounding, and it applies to more than money. Knowledge compounds, skills compound, trust compounds, reputation compounds, health compounds, discipline compounds. Bad habits compound too. That last part matters, because compounding does not care whether the direction is good or bad. Credit card debt can compound. Poor health choices can compound. Avoided problems can compound. Small lies can compound. Bad spending habits can compound. Fear-based decisions can compound. This is why understanding compounding makes you more careful. You stop asking only, "Does this matter today?" You ask, "What happens if this repeats for 5 years?" That question is powerful. A small habit repeated long enough becomes an identity. A small expense repeated long enough becomes a leak. A small skill repeated long enough becomes leverage. A small debt ignored long enough becomes a chain. Leverage is the second force. Leverage means using something to multiply your effort. Money can be leverage. Technology can be leverage. A team can be leverage. Knowledge can be leverage. Media can be leverage. Systems can be leverage. Code can be leverage. A brand can be leverage. A person without leverage must rely only on their own hours. A person with leverage can make 1 hour produce more impact. This is why the internet changed so many careers. A person can create one video, one product, one piece of writing, one system, and reach people while they sleep. This is why businesses use tools, software, teams, capital, and distribution. They are not only working, they are multiplying. But leverage has a danger. It amplifies whatever is already there. If you amplify value, leverage can build. If you amplify ignorance, leverage can destroy faster. Borrowed money can help build an asset. Borrowed money can also destroy someone who does not understand risk. Social media can help a thoughtful person teach, build, and connect. It can also spread bad advice to millions. Technology can increase productivity. It can also increase distraction. Leverage is not good or bad by itself. It is a multiplier. That is why so many people are manipulated by promises of fast wealth. They are shown the upside of leverage without being taught the downside. They see the person who got rich through investing, but not the people who lost money using debt without understanding risk. They see the entrepreneur who scaled fast, but not the businesses that collapsed, because they grew before they were stable. They see influencers showing luxury, but not the hidden payments, stress, or rented lifestyle behind the image. The manipulation is simple. Sell the result, hide the process, show the reward, hide the risk, create urgency, call it opportunity. And when people are desperate to escape financial pressure, they become vulnerable to shortcuts. But leverage without understanding is not freedom. It is acceleration without steering. That is why the economically aware person asks, what is being amplified here? Value or risk? Skill or ego? Production or appearance? A real asset or a fantasy? A system or a gamble? These questions slow you down in the right way. Not because you are afraid, because you are clear. Compounding teaches patience. Leverage teaches responsibility. Together they explain why some people move so far ahead over time. Not always because they started with everything, but because they made small advantages repeat and then found ways to multiply them. The same principle can work in your life. A useful skill, practiced consistently, becomes stronger. A reputation for reliability opens doors. A habit of learning improves decisions. A small investment in health protects energy. A system for money reduces chaos. A side project may become an asset. A clear mind makes better choices under pressure. None of this is magic. It is direction repeated over time. That is the quiet power most people ignore. They overestimate one intense week. They underestimate one focused year. They chase speed. But freedom often comes from patience with a multiplier. Leverage is powerful. But if you amplify ignorance, you only fail faster. Compounding is powerful, but it works only when you give it time. And once you understand these forces, you can see markets differently. Because markets are not moved by numbers alone. They are moved by people. And people bring fear, greed, hope, panic, and desire into every cycle. Chapter 8. Markets move on human emotion. Markets look like numbers. But underneath the numbers, there are people. People with fear. People with hope. People with greed. People with regret. People with pressure. People trying not to miss out. People trying not to lose what they already have. That is why markets are never only mathematical. They are emotional. This is one of the biggest truths in economics. Human beings do not make decisions as calmly as they think. They follow stories, they copy crowds, they fear being late, they fear looking foolish, they fear losing money. They fear missing the one opportunity that everyone else seems to see. And because of that, history repeats. Not in the exact same way, but in the same emotional pattern. A real opportunity appears. At first, only a few people notice it. Then more attention arrives, then excitement grows, then prices rise, then stories become more confident. Then people who were cautious begin to feel foolish. Then the crowd enters, then greed becomes normal, then risk gets ignored. Then someone says, "This time is different." That sentence should always make you pause. Because that sentence has appeared in almost every bubble. It appeared in different forms during the dot-com boom. It appeared during the housing bubble. It appeared in crypto manias. It appeared in meme stock movements. It appears whenever people begin to believe that prices can rise forever because everyone around them wants to believe the same thing. The asset changes, the emotion stays. That is why the person who understands markets does not only study charts, they study behavior. They ask, what is the crowd feeling? What story is driving this movement? Is this based on real value or social excitement? Are people buying because they understand or because they fear being left behind? Is risk being measured or is it being mocked? These questions matter because the crowd can make a person feel safe while leading them into danger. When everyone is buying, buying feels intelligent. When everyone is optimistic, caution feels weak. When everyone is making money, risk feels imaginary. But markets do not remove risk just because people stop talking about it. They hide it until confidence breaks. Then the emotional pattern reverses. Prices fall. People who were greedy become nervous. People who were nervous become afraid. People who were afraid begin to panic. Then the same crowd that said, "You must buy now," starts saying, "Get out before it gets worse." And once again, many people react. They buy when the crowd is euphoric. They sell when the crowd is terrified. They think they are making independent decisions. But often, they are borrowing emotions from other people. That is the manipulation of markets. Not always by one person. Sometimes by the crowd itself. Social media makes this stronger. A person opens an app and sees someone claiming they made a fortune. Another person says an asset is going to the moon. Another warns that anyone who does not buy now will regret it forever. Another shows a luxury lifestyle and suggests it came from one simple financial move. The viewer feels pressure, not from facts, from comparison. Suddenly, waiting feels like losing. Caution feels like weakness. Research feels slow. Risk feels like something only fearful people talk about. That is when mistakes happen. The economically aware person moves differently. They do not assume the crowd is always wrong, but they do not surrender their mind to it. They separate price from value. They separate excitement from evidence. They separate confidence from competence. They separate a real opportunity from a contagious emotion. This does not mean they never invest, never take risk, or never move. It means they do not let fear or greed drive the car. They study before acting. They ask what they understand. They ask what they do not understand. They ask what could go wrong. They ask whether they are making a decision or simply trying to escape the feeling of being left behind. That question can save you, because FOMO is not a financial strategy. Panic is not a financial strategy. Hope is not a financial strategy. A strategy requires clarity. Markets will always move. Prices will rise and fall. Narratives will change. New opportunities will appear. Old assumptions will break. People will get excited. People will get scared. Your job is not to feel nothing. Your job is to stop letting the crowd think for you, because markets change costumes. Human emotion stays the same, And once you understand emotional cycles, you are ready to see the next layer, the stories. Because people are not only moved by prices, they are moved by the stories they are told about those prices. Chapter 9. Economic stories are how people get manipulated. A number by itself does not control people. The story around the number does. That is why economic manipulation often begins with narrative. One statistic can be framed in many ways. One market move can be called a crisis or an opportunity. One policy can be presented as protection or control. One price increase can be blamed on greed, scarcity, demand, policy, energy, wages, or fear. The facts matter, but the frame shapes the emotion, and emotion shapes behavior. That is why headlines are powerful. A headline is not just information, it is direction. It tells your mind what to feel before you have time to think. Be afraid, be angry, be urgent, be suspicious, be hopeful, be divided, be ready to click. In the modern world, attention is money. If a headline can trigger you, it can hold you. If it can hold you, it can sell advertising, build loyalty, shape opinion, or move behavior. This is why people who do not understand economics are easier to manipulate. They hear a simple story and accept it because the world feels too complex. Prices are rising because of this one group. The economy is bad because of this one person. Are falling behind because you have not bought this product. You will miss your chance if you do not act now. Everyone smart is doing this. Everyone who disagrees is foolish. Simple stories feel good because they reduce complexity, but they can also reduce truth. Economic reality is rarely simple. There are incentives, there are trade-offs, there are winners and losers, there are delayed consequences, there are emotional triggers, there are people and institutions benefiting from what you believe. That is the question that changes everything. Who benefits if I believe this? Ask that, and the world becomes clearer. When an advertisement tells you that your life is incomplete without a product, ask who profits from your insecurity. When a luxury brand sells status, ask whether it is offering value or identity. When a subscription looks small, ask why companies prefer recurring payments instead of one-time purchases. When a politician gives you one villain for a complex economic problem, ask what emotion they need from you. When a financial influencer creates urgency, ask whether they are educating you or selling you. When media turns every market movement into drama, ask whether the goal is clarity or attention. These questions do not make you cynical, they make you awake. Because manipulation does not always look like force. Often, it looks like a story that makes you react before you reflect. Consumer culture is built on this. It does not only sell products, it sells identity. A car becomes proof that you are successful. A phone becomes proof that you are current. A watch becomes proof that you matter. A home becomes proof that you made it. A vacation becomes proof that your life is worth admiring. The product may be useful, but the story around the product is what creates pressure. That pressure turns spending into self-defense. You are not just buying the thing, you are buying relief from the feeling that you are behind. Social media makes this worse because you are not comparing your finances to reality. You are comparing your reality to someone else's performance. You see the trip, not the credit card balance. The car, not the payment. The house, not the stress. The lifestyle, not the income source. The confidence, not the insecurity. And if you do not understand the economics behind appearances, you may spend money to look free while becoming less free. That is manipulation, not because someone forced you, because someone triggered a story inside you. The story that you are late, that you are not enough, that everyone else is winning, that success must be visible, that urgency means importance, that fear means truth. The economically aware person slows down. They do not ask only, should I buy? They ask what emotion is being activated. They do not ask only, is this news bad? They ask, what incentive is behind this framing? They do not ask only, what is everyone doing? They ask, What does everyone believe, and who benefits from that belief? This is clear thinking. And clear thinking is rare because it requires pause. The easiest person to manipulate is the person who reacts before asking who benefits. So train yourself to pause before buying, before panicking, before blaming, before sharing, before believing, before following the crowd. Ask the questions. Who benefits? What incentive is here? What emotion is being triggered? What is missing from this story? What would I think if I were not afraid? These questions are not complicated, but they are powerful. They create space between the story and your reaction, and in that space, manipulation loses strength. Because once you understand economic stories, you stop being pulled so easily by noise. You begin to see the system beneath the sentence. And that brings us to the final chapter, clarity. Because economic freedom does not begin with knowing everything. It begins with learning how to think clearly inside a noisy world. Chapter 10. Clarity is the beginning of economic freedom. Economic freedom begins before wealth. It begins with clarity. That may sound simple, but it is one of the most important ideas in this entire audiobook. Because a person can earn money and still be confused. They can own nice things and still be controlled by pressure. They can follow financial news every day and still react emotionally to every headline. They can have income but no peace. They can have choices but no direction. More money does not automatically create clear thinking. Sometimes more money only gives confusion more room to grow. That is why clarity must come first. Clarity means you understand what you are looking at. When you see money, you do not see only paper or numbers in an app. You see trust, purchasing power, and a claim on value. When you see debt, you do not see only a payment. You see future time being promised to a past decision. When you see banks, you do not see only storage. You see credit expansion, risk, confidence, and the flow of purchasing power. When you see inflation, you do not see only higher prices. You see purchasing power moving, pressure shifting, and the difference between holding cash and owning assets. When you see income, you do not see only survival. You see a tool that can be spent, wasted, protected, or converted into skills, systems, and ownership. When you see leverage, you do not see only opportunity. You see amplification of both value and risk. When you see markets, you do not see only numbers. You see human emotion moving through prices. When you see economic stories, you do not accept them instantly. You ask who benefits from your belief. That is clarity. It does not mean you know everything. It means you stop being easily confused by everything. There is a difference. You do not need to predict every recession. You do not need to know exactly where interest rates will go. You do not need to become a professional investor. You do not need to master every chart, every policy, every technical term. But you do need a filter, a way to slow the world down before it enters your mind. Here is that filter. First, ask what is real, not what is dramatic, not what is trending, not what makes you afraid, what is actually happening. Second, ask what is changing. Is purchasing power changing? Is credit becoming easier or tighter? Are wages keeping up? Are prices rising because of supply, demand, policy, energy, or speculation? Third, ask who benefits. Who benefits from your fear? Who benefits from your urgency? Who benefits if you buy, sell, borrow, vote, click, blame, or panic? Fourth, ask what is within your control. Can you reduce a bad debt? Build a skill? Increase savings? Cut a leak? Delay a purchase? Learn more before acting. Stop comparing yourself to a performance. Fifth, ask what decision makes your future stronger. Not what makes you feel better for 1 hour. What makes your future stronger? That is the decision filter. And it matters because when you do not understand the system, every event feels personal. Prices rise, and you feel attacked. Debt grows, and you feel ashamed. Markets fall, and you feel helpless. A headline appears, and you feel afraid. An advertisement appears, and you feel incomplete. Someone else's success appears online, and you feel behind. But when you understand the forces at work, you gain space. Space between the event and your reaction. That space is power. It lets you respond instead of react. You can build skills instead of only complaining about wages. You can study debt instead of fearing it blindly. You can protect purchasing power instead of trusting numbers alone. You can build assets instead of only buying symbols. You can watch markets without borrowing the crowd's emotions. You can hear a story without immediately becoming part of it. This is how manipulation weakens. Not because the world becomes honest overnight, but because you become harder to move without reason, harder to scare without evidence, harder to sell to through insecurity, harder to divide through simple stories, harder to control through confusion. That is the beginning of economic freedom, not the final destination. The beginning. Because freedom is not only having more money. Freedom is having a mind that does not panic every time the world becomes loud. Freedom is knowing what you are trading your time for. Freedom is understanding the difference between a tool and a trap. Freedom is seeing a system clearly enough to stop blaming yourself for things you were never taught, while still taking responsibility for what you can learn now. That is the balance. No victim mindset. No blind optimism, no fantasy, just clarity. You may not control the economy, but you can control how deeply you understand it. You may not control inflation, but you can understand purchasing power. You may not control banks, but you can understand credit. You may not control markets, but you can control whether you follow the crowd blindly. You may not control every story told to you, but you can decide which stories deserve your belief. That is power, quiet power, the kind of power that does not need to shout, because once you understand economics, you begin to see the game. And once you see the game, you stop moving like a pawn. Once you see the game, you stop moving. Like a pawn, you have now walked through the hidden language of modern life. Money, trust, debt, credit, banks, inflation, assets, leverage, compounding markets, emotions, stories, clarity. Each part matters on its own, but together they reveal something larger. The economy is not just numbers on a screen. It is not just something experts argue about on television. It is not just politics, markets, interest rates, or prices. It is the environment where your daily choices happen. It shapes the rent you pay, the food you buy, the debt you carry, the job you keep, the risks you avoid, the dreams you delay, the fears you feel, the stories you believe. And if you do not understand that environment, it becomes easier for others to guide your emotions for you. But when you understand it, even a little more clearly, something changes. You stop reacting so quickly. You stop believing every headline immediately. You stop confusing expensive things with valuable things. You stop seeing debt as only normal or only evil. You stop thinking inflation is just about prices. You stop assuming that everyone who looks successful is free. You stop letting the crowd decide what is worth your attention. That is not wealth yet, but it is the beginning of wisdom. And wisdom matters because as no one can predict the future perfectly, not economists, not investors, not politicians, not banks, not media personalities, not influencers. But you do not need perfect prediction to become harder to manipulate. You need better questions. So for the next 72 hours, try this. On day 1, look at your last 10 purchases and ask, did I buy this from need, from value, or from emotion? Do not judge yourself, just observe. On day 2, review one debt, one subscription, or one recurring payment and ask, is this helping my future or quietly taxing it? Again, do not panic, just look clearly. On day 3, read one economic headline without reacting immediately and ask, who benefits if I believe this story right away? That question alone can change the way you think, because the goal is not to become suspicious of everything. The goal is to become conscious. Conscious of incentives, conscious of fear, conscious of desire, conscious of debt, conscious of purchasing power, conscious of the difference between a story and the truth beneath it. Once you understand economics, you do not become impossible to influence. You become harder to fool. And in a world built on noise, fear, debt, desire, and distraction, that clarity is power. If this audiobook helped you see money, debt, inflation, or the economy with more clarity, like this video and share it with someone who needs a clearer way to think. And if you want more deep audiobooks about self-mastery, discipline, emotional control, and clear thinking, subscribe to Inner Power Audio. Because the more clearly you see the world, the less easily the world can control you. And sometimes that is where real freedom begins.